The clerk's received it, Judge.
Very good. Be right with you in just a moment. Tim?
Yes, Your Honor.
On Daniel Gonzalez.
Yes, sir.
What's the case number real quick? I got it, the front page. Mr. Daniel Gonzalez, court calls case number, Kayleen, you there? Kayleen, you with us?
Yes, sir, Judge. I'm in the courtroom.
All right. Court calls case number 620-166, State of Texas versus Daniel Gonzalez. The original charge being driving while intoxicated. Mr. Daniel Gonzalez, would you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear that in this proceeding, the information and responses you submit will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Mr. Gonzalez, you were originally charged with violation of the law, that being a DWI. Before we proceed, I understand you intend to do a plea, but before that happens, I need to discuss with you verbally, which will be recorded by Ms. Kayleen Rivera, court reporter, the different rights and protections that you have. Number one, you have the right to remain silent. That means you don't have to make any kind of statement. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to submit written paperwork with your signature, especially papers that have admissions or confessions to wrongdoing. You understand you have that right.
I do.
You have the right to a jury trial. That means you and your attorney and the state could select 6 people from a disinterested pool of citizens that would hear all the evidence, hear the trial, testimony or whatever, and decide whether you're not guilty or whether you've been proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. That's called the right to a jury trial. Do you understand that?
I do.
You have the right to confront witnesses. If you decided to go to trial, the state would have to present witnesses to prove up their case or attempt to. You would, and your attorney would have the right to cross-examine, question, or challenge any witness who would testify in the case. Do you understand that's the right to confront witnesses?
I do.
You also have the right to appeal. That means that you and your attorney, or you individually or your attorney individually, could file the proper and correct paperwork with the substance and material that's required, and staying within the time limitations that are required. You could demand that a higher court review the results of this case, the evidence, everything involving in the case, for whatever legal challenges you wanted to make after this case is finished. You understand that's called basically the right to appeal.
I do.
Finally, you have the right, as does the state, you know, individually, both sides of this case have the right to demand an open public courtroom hearing on this issue. Because of the COVID pandemic, we're not doing that. Instead, we're doing it with your consent and the consent of the state. We're doing it by video conference. And I am led to believe that you have reviewed and signed a document wherein you agree or you consent to this video conference. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, to proceed in this matter, there's a bunch of paperwork that you reviewed with your attorney. Do you recall reviewing the papers that you've signed with your attorney?
I do.
The papers that you signed, you did understand?
I did.
All right. And you had the advice and counsel of your attorney. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, let's talk about some of those that are critical. One paper is a document that says, or is titled, it identifies you and is titled Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions. That tells you that that document has, at one point, 15 numbered different things in there. It identifies you. It tells you what you're charged with, what you're pleading to, and how you're pleading. It repeats the several different protections and rights that you have. And it makes it in writing. It records everything in writing. Then you reviewed that and signed it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Now, Mr. Roundtree, did you in fact assist your client in reviewing and understanding the documents that he has signed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you yourself sign a document attesting to the fact that the state has complied with Article 39.14 Texas Code of Criminal Procedure in regard to discovery?
I think that I did, and they have.
All right. Now, Mr. Gonzalez, you have made an agreement with the state. One of the documents, the one I just talked about, tells you that the agreement you made with the state, I don't have to accept. By law, I have the authority and responsibility to either say yes or no to your deal. I have to do one or the other. I also have the authority to give you whatever punishment is within the range of punishment for your particular offense, even if the punishment I give you is greater than what you have agreed to. However, if I reject your deal outright, or if I give you a punishment within the proper range, but that is greater than what you've agreed to, the law would allow you to start all over again. And nothing that you've said or anything that you've signed would be used against you. Is that understood?
Yes.
I mentioned to you a while ago that you have a right of appeal. There's a document that I have signed that certifies to you that because this is a plea bargain deal, then you do not have a right of appeal, or in fact, you're giving up the right of appeal. You understand that?
Correct. Yes.
All right. Did you, is this going to be a deferred, right, folks?
Yes, Judge.
And is there a motion from the state?
Judge, yes, we would move to waive and abandon count 1 and proceed solely on count 2.
No objection.
Which will be obstruction, right?
That's correct, Judge.
There being no objection, therefore the court grants the motion, and you are now, Mr. Gonzalez, you're officially now charged not with DWI, but with obstructing a passageway, waterway, or highway. There's a distinction in that. So, to that charge, well, let me ask you something else first. Did you make out an application for deferred adjudication probation?
I believe so. There was a third form that was signed.
All right. And did you understand that deferred adjudication is a form of probation? It is a written, legal, binding agreement between you and this court. You are agreeing that you will live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision for the entire period of supervision, are also known as probation. Do you understand that that's what you're committing to?
Yes, sir.
And also, do you understand that on deferred adjudication, it is very beneficial to you that I will not find you guilty. I will postpone or defer deciding whether you're guilty or not. And if you live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then the case gets dismissed and you're not even convicted of obstructing a passageway, highway, or waterway.
Yes, sir.
If you fail or refuse to live up to the conditions, then what happens is the state may ask me to give you official notice, bring you in for a hearing, and if I believe from the evidence presented, if any, that you have violated the conditions of supervision and that it'll be up to me, then I can enter a final conviction, a finding of guilt. If that happens, you're looking at the full range of punishment, all of it. A fine $0 to $2,000, and jail 0 days to 180 days. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right, then to that charge of obstruction of a passageway, highway, or waterway, how do you plead?
I plead guilty.
Is he pleading guilty, Tim?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Did anyone threaten you, intimidate you, or promise you anything other than the plea bargain in exchange for your plea of guilty?
No, sir.
Based on your plea of guilty and the evidence, I find that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty. But I do not find you guilty because I will honor the agreement that has been reached between you and the state. First of all, you are granted how long is the deferred adjudication, Ms. Pollard?
12 months, Judge.
You're granted 12 months deferred adjudication. And the rest of the punishment, Ms. Pollard.
Judge, it is a $500 fine plus court costs, 48 community service hours, DWI education, the victim impact panel, TAPS evaluation, ignition interlock for half the term. And Judge, there was an agreement after filling out the paperwork that we are going to ask the judge to, I guess, sign off on that we're unchecking the box on the plea paperwork, which waives the defendant's right to expunction or non-disclosure. It is checked on the paperwork, but we're asking that it be unchecked.
All right. So, Mr. Gonzalez, how do you earn a living? How do you support yourself or anyone else?
I am an RN, an ICU RN.
An RN?
Yes, sir.
And what is your income per month or year?
It is approximately 3,000 to 4,000 a month.
And I presume right now you're making a lot of overtime.
Unfortunately,
Okay. All right. You have any children that you support?
no, sir.
All right. First of all, the court orders that the right that had been marked as surrendering the right to what, to ask for non-disclosure, Ms. Pollard, or was it the other one?
Yes, non-disclosure, Judge. That's what it was.
That's correct, Judge.
The court orders that the defendant retains his right to request non-disclosure, contrary to what the papers show right now. So that is expressly ordered. As I said, you are granted deferred adjudication for 12 months. You are to complete 48 hours of community service restitution. you are fined $750, which is greater than what you've agreed to, which puts into play your right to redo everything because I have given you a punishment greater than what you agreed to. You will complete the DWI education course, the victim impact panel. You will submit to a TAP evaluation and the recommendations. You'll have ignition interlock installed in your vehicle for 6 months continuously. During those 6 months, you're not to drive any other vehicle unless it has an ignition interlock for you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. During the entirety of your probation, which is 12 months, you're not to drink any alcohol at all. Clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I have given you a punishment that's slightly greater than what you agreed to. That's because you make a significant income. There's a lot of people that make almost half of what you make, and they get fined $500. I don't agree with it. You deserve a little heavier fine. Now, it's your choice, yours and Mr. Roundtree. You may decide you don't want to accept that. I'm not, I've been around a while. I expect you will accept it, but you tell me what you want to do.
Yes, sir. That's fine. I will accept it.
All right. Now, do you have, your supervisory fee will be $47 a month. Don't leave. You're to visit with the lady that's going to get you started on the probation program. Her name is Maricela Luna. You see the name up there on the screen.
Mhm.
Well, she will give you the details and explanations of how to get started. Probation will read to you each of your conditions. You're going to sign them. They'll put a copy in your hands. You won't be able to come back in here and tell me I didn't know the condition. You will know. In addition, if you fail or refuse to live up to 100% of the conditions of supervision, then the state will ask me to give you notice, bring you in, and at that point I can convict you, but I also will remind you, this is critically important, I will remind you that you'll be looking at 100% of the punishment range, $0 to $2,000 fine, and jail 0 days to 180. You got all that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then you'll be blessed, be well, be safe, and stay out of trouble.
Okay.
Stick around for Ms. Luna.
Can I ask you something, sir?
Yes.
I apologize, but I work overnight, and I was under the understanding that the community service would be allowed to be paid out since I work overnight.
Okay, what is basically your hourly wage? I know it's really more contractual than hourly.
Yeah, hourly it's $30.12.
All right. I authorize you to donate in lieu of the work, the community service hours. I authorize you to donate at $13 an hour. Now, I prefer that you make the donation for one or all of the hours to the Gabriel Project. Probation will tell you how to do that. However, you are allowed the option of donating to the San Antonio Food Bank. So, is that understood?
Yes, sir. Thank you.